In a strange and untamed land, an astronaut frantically tries to call for help, only to realize his communicator is dead. He suspects he's fallen through some kind of tear in time and space, possibly no longer even on Earth. A distant roar sends him into a panic. He runs, but it's no use. A hungry T-Rex quickly catches up to him. Back on normal Earth, TV host Matt Lauer introduces his latest guest, the arrogant Dr. Rick Marshall. Rick has been researching a controversial field called quantum paleontology, centered on the idea of time warps, and has already burned through $50 million in funding. He's even written a book and is now asking for more support. Matt mocks the concept of parallel dimensions, pointing out that respected scientists dismiss it as nonsense. Insulted, Rick storms off the show, only to return moments later when Matt calls him insane, attempting to confront him before security intervenes. 3 years later, Rick is reduced to giving presentations about tachyons, subatomic particles that move so fast they can travel backward in time. He's developed a device called a tachyon amplifier, which he claims can allow sideways travel through time into a dimension where past, present, and future coexist. Unfortunately, his audience consists of uninterested schoolchildren on a field trip, and his career has clearly hit rock bottom. However, one person takes his work seriously, Holly Cantrell. She seeks Rick out and tells him she believes in his theories. To prove her point, she shows him a fossil she discovered in the desert, one that mysteriously contains the imprint of a modern lighter. The surrounding crystals emit the same kind of tachyon energy as the one in her necklace. When Rick compares the fossil to his own lighter, it fits perfectly, reigniting his belief in his work. The next day, Holly checks in on Rick and finds him recovering from a food coma after working through the night. He's finally completed the tachyon amplifier, cobbled together from household materials, though it still contains random leftover data like silly songs. Despite finishing it, Rick hasn't had the courage to test it. Determined, Holly brings him back to the desert where she found the fossil. The cave she once explored is now a tourist attraction, so they enlist the help of Will, a quirky gift shop owner, to guide them there on his raft. The cave is filled with fake spooky decorations, but Rick and Holly ignore Will's exaggerated stories. Detecting strong tachyon readings, Rick activates the amplifier. Suddenly, an earthquake strikes, knocking the device into the water. The current grows violent, pushing their raft deeper into the cave, which begins to glow and stretch unnaturally. Soon, they're swept into a powerful vortex. The whirlpool turns out to be a time warp, transporting them to a bizarre world where past, present, and future collide, exactly as Rick had theorized. They find themselves in a vast desert littered with strange objects from different eras, from random doors to an entire Viking ship. But there's one big problem. The tachyon amplifier is gone. If they ever want to return home, they'll have to find it. A sudden noise startles the group, signaling that something, or someone, is nearby. Curious, they move in to investigate and stumble upon two highly evolved primate creatures preparing to sacrifice a third. Without hesitation, the trio steps in to rescue him. Will tries to scare the attackers off using the flame from his lighter, but when he accidentally drops it, one of the creatures snatches it and runs away. Since she has studied primitive languages, Holly cautiously approaches the rescued creature to earn his trust. Through her, they learn his name is Shaka. When Rick attempts to examine Shaka's injured ankle, it only frightens him, causing him to bolt. The group quickly chases after him. Their pursuit leads them straight into a hidden sand pit, dropping them into an underground cave littered with bones. Before they can react, creeping vines wrap around them and hoist them into the air, suspending them from a tree. They begin swinging wildly, trying to reach the trunk and break free. Suddenly, a T-Rex appears and lunges at them. Fortunately, their swinging throws off its aim, and instead of catching them, it bites through the vines holding them. The group crashes to the ground and immediately sprints into the jungle. Despite the danger, they even manage to snap a photo of the dinosaur as proof before continuing toward the mountains. Ahead of them, Shaka crosses a narrow bridge and attempts to destroy it to stop the T-Rex from following. The trio races across just in time. The dinosaur hesitates at the sight of the fragile bridge and initially backs off, until Rick mocks its intelligence, claiming its brain is the size of a walnut. Enraged, the T-Rex turns back and leaps across the gap to continue the chase. The group flees once more, eventually ducking into a cave with an entrance too small for the creature to enter. This time, the T-Rex finally gives up. Will notes that the dinosaur seemed particularly fixated on Rick, while Holly jokingly names it Grumpy. Inside the cave, Shaka discovers two human skeletons along with their belongings, including a record player. Deciding it's as safe a place as any, they settle in for the night. With Holly translating, Shaka shares his story, He is a prince betrayed by his own people in a plot to steal his throne. His supposed crime? Loving too deeply, and, somewhat less nobly, relieving himself in the village well. Meanwhile, Will suggests barricading the cave entrance with boxes, but Rick dismisses the idea, once again mocking the T-Rex's tiny brain. Almost immediately, the cave shakes violently. When they step outside, they discover the dinosaur has hurled a massive walnut at them in response. The next morning, Shaka brings them fruit as a gesture of friendship, though it's filled with spiders, which he considers a delicacy. Their uneasy breakfast is interrupted when the ground begins to tremble again. A blinding light shines through the trees, and Rick suddenly experiences strange visions of an alien pleading for help. Compelled, Rick agrees and rushes into the jungle, with the others close behind. The visions lead them to a mysterious, abandoned temple filled with eerie statues and a glowing crystal obelisk, the apparent source of the message. Shaka grows uneasy, trying to warn them about unseen dangers lurking in the shadows, but they can't understand him. Too late, they realize the threat is real. Lizard-like creatures emerge from the darkness, surrounding them on all sides. Holly removes her belt, intending to use it as a weapon, which sparks an idea in Rick. He uses the belt buckle to reflect sunlight onto the statues, and then toward the obelisk, triggering a portal. The group quickly jumps through it, while the pursuing creatures are left behind. They arrive in a hidden pocket dimension where the alien from Rick's vision, Enoch, is in hiding. He explains that the creatures outside, known as Sleestacks, are attempting to seize control of the world by harnessing the power of the crystals. To stop them, Enoch needs the tachyon amplifier to unlock the crystal's full potential, which could also send the trio back home. Will is immediately suspicious, but Rick agrees to help. Returning to the jungle, Rick sketches a crude map of the area to plan their search for the amplifier. His first idea is unconventional, masking their human scent with dinosaur urine he collected overnight. He eagerly douses himself in it, twice, but his companions refuse to follow suit. The plan becomes irrelevant when Shaka arrives with a lead. He guides them back to the desert, to a spot Holly believes is the original entry point, littered with strange objects from different times, including their raft. Suddenly, an ice cream truck crashes in from another time warp, attracting a swarm of dinosaurs eager to feast on its contents, and its driver. Among them are Grumpy and its mate, a fiercely territorial pair. Catching the scent of Rick's camouflage, they turn their attention to the group. Chaos erupts as everyone scatters. Grumpy manages to grab Rick, but he narrowly escapes by shining a laser pointer into the dinosaur's eyes. As the others dodge destruction, hiding among collapsing vehicles and debris, Rick stumbles upon a tank of liquid nitrogen behind a large rock. Seizing the opportunity, he brings it to a makeshift catapult prepared by Holly and Will. They launch the tank straight into the female dinosaur's mouth. It explodes spectacularly, and from the remains, the missing tachyon amplifier is revealed. It had been inside her stomach the entire time. But before they can recover it, a small dinosaur snatches it, only to be snatched in turn by a passing pteranodon, which carries both prey and amplifier off to its nest. Frustrated and defeated, Rick gives up on the search. Holly is deeply hurt by his surrender, reminding him that she sacrificed her future in science to follow his theories. Disheartened, she, Will, and Shaka return to the jungle to camp for the night. As they rest, Holly continues translating Shaka's story. He speaks of his nomadic tribe, where food dictates their movement. He explains their customs, how women serve the men, and mentions, with surprising honesty, that as a prince he has his own group of partners, whom he finds unattractive but kind. Their conversation is interrupted by Rick, who returns after some time alone. Having reconsidered, he refuses to give up. Attempting to apologize, he plays a song on a banjo, unaware that a massive mosquito is feeding on him. Eventually, he collapses from exhaustion, crushing the insect in the process. The next morning, oblivious to the huge welt on his back, Rick leads the group toward a volcano where the pteranodon nests. Moving carefully among the eggs, he manages to retrieve the amplifier, which has been playing music continuously. But when he turns it off, the eggs begin to hatch. The music had been lulling them to sleep. Panicking, Rick can't get the device to start again, so he begins singing instead. One by one, the others join in. Even Shaka, who turns out to have a surprisingly beautiful voice. Their impromptu lullaby works, soothing the baby dinosaurs back to sleep. To celebrate their success, the group returns to the desert and relaxes in a natural pool. Following a tradition from his tribe, Shaka offers Rick and Will some fruit, but it turns out to be a powerful opiate. While the three men drift into a dazed stupor waiting for the effects to wear off, Holly experiments with the tachyon amplifier. Her test causes another crystal obelisk to rise from the desert. Curious, she enters it and discovers a hidden cave filled with dinosaur eggs. She takes one with her, but then encounters a holographic message left by the natives. It reveals a shocking truth. Enoch is actually the villain, seeking to harness the crystal's power for himself. Before Holly can return and warn the others, a Sleestack captures her. Meanwhile, Rick and Will, still under the influence, end up eating a giant crab that falls into a hot spring and cooks itself. They promptly fall asleep. The next morning, they realize Holly is missing. Rick sends Shaka to search for help while he and Will investigate the obelisk cave. Inside, they find Sleestack guards shedding their skin. Seizing the opportunity, the two disguise themselves in the discarded skins and blend in. They follow the creatures back to the temple, where Holly is imprisoned in a cage, about to be lowered into lava as punishment for aiding Enoch. Now fully aware of the truth, Rick and Will spring into action. As the Sleestacks move to capture them, Rick leaps onto Holly's cage and swings it wildly, knocking the creatures into the lava. He and Holly jump free just before the cage falls, sharing a quick kiss before she urges them to escape before Enoch arrives. But there's a problem. They've already sent Shaka to find him. Right on cue, Enoch appears, controlling an army of Sleestacks with a crystal. He seizes the amplifier and summons Grumpy the T-Rex to deal with the group. This time, Rick refuses to run. Sending Holly to safety, he confronts the dinosaur. His attempt to use Will's fireworks fails, and in frustration, he tosses them away along with his lighter, unknowingly creating the fossil Holly had found earlier. Desperate, Rick tries to pole vault using a staff, but Grumpy simply swallows him midair. With Rick gone, the T-Rex loses interest and leaves, while the Sleestacks return to the temple. Inside the obelisk, Enoch activates the amplifier, opening a time portal to Earth. Outside, the group struggles against overwhelming numbers of Sleestacks, until help arrives in the most unexpected way. Rick returns, riding on Grumpy, who easily crushes the enemies. Stunned, Holly and Will ask how he survived. Rick casually explains that Grumpy passed him, and in the process, he cleared a blockage, earning the dinosaur's gratitude. Now, the two are unlikely allies. They rush into the obelisk, where Enoch is already stabilizing the portal. Rick tackles him, and a struggle ensues. When Will tries to help, he accidentally knocks over a crystal, shattering it, and causing the portal to begin closing. Thinking fast, Rick grabs Holly's crystal necklace and uses it to replace the broken one, reopening the portal. Rick and Holly make a run for it, but Enoch grabs Will, stopping him from escaping. With Shaka's help, Will manages to subdue Enoch. He then makes a surprising choice, telling his friends to go on without him. Having little to return to on Earth, he decides to stay behind and start a new life with Shaka. Rick and Holly step through the portal, emerging back on Earth at the entrance of the desert cave. Meanwhile, Will joins Shaka's tribe, discovering that the women Shaka once called ugly are actually quite human-like, and he happily settles into his new life among them. A year later, Rick returns to television, once again appearing on Matt Lauer's show, this time to prove he was right all along. He proudly presents a small dinosaur that Holly brought back and promotes his new book, cheekily titled after Matt. The moment quickly devolves into chaos as tensions flare once more. After the show ends, the egg Holly collected finally hatches on the studio table. But instead of a dinosaur, a baby Sleestack emerges, hinting that their adventure may not be over after all.
And that's the end of the story. I hope you liked it. Comment down below what movies do you like us to recap next. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time.